Everyone knows Doom, from its over-the-top violence to its huge influence on the first-person shooter genre. Though unfortunately for me, I never actually played any of the Doom series, but after 26 years of Doom existence, I decided it was time. But first, let's take a brief overview of the series. It does start out straightforward. It comes out with Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, then it skips to Doom 64, and another jump all the way to Doom 2016. Now the series is also coming out with Doom Eternal in 2019. That tells me the series is never going to end, which is even more confusing since I do have Final Doom as well on my list. The only thing that makes sense to me here is the series will go on for eternity. This is because the series has a seemingly infinite number of level packs that are made to play by modders and game designers alike. My desire here was to start with Doom 2016, but before I began playing I decided maybe I should start with the original games first, ones that I could never get into when I was younger. The early Doom games all have a similar style of gameplay, so we're going to lump the classic style of games together, Doom, Doom 2, Final Doom, and Doom 64 for this video. When the original Doom came out, first-person shooters was a completely new style of game, so it has some outdated mechanics. The one that stands out the most to me is the fact that you can only look around on an X-axis, and there's auto-aiming for the Y-axis. You also don't have the ability to jump or crouch, but adding in jumping actually kind of ruins the game. It ruins some of the puzzles. It also has a pretty awful control scheme. Thankfully, every one of these problems can be adjusted now with countless Doom mods. Even the official release of Doom 3 BFG edition comes with Doom 1 and Doom 2 with updated controls and graphics. This is the version I use. So the classic style of games actually is a very fast-paced game with non-stop action. The series actually lets you sprint the entire time without having to worry about some bullshit stamina bar some games like to add in. Having this fast movement speed is actually essential to the gameplay. It allows you to dodge enemy projectiles, all while you weave in and out of countless enemies so you can get into their faces and take them out. This is actually part of what makes the game so amazing. The fast speeds make sure the action never gets dull. Though the other reason this actually works is because of the level design. Enemies are always coming at you from different angles that you'd never expect. It keeps it interesting. All of these games have interweaving corridors with enemy traps, hidden keys, and it's littered with secrets everywhere. Hell, you know, even some of these secrets have hidden secrets with hidden enemy traps inside of them as well. Early Doom games have a perfect mix of level design and action you rarely see in games today. You don't get games this fast-paced yet, and still have the level deliberately and delicately handcrafted the way these Doom games were. A large part of this is because one of the developers, John Romero, had specific rules for all level designs in Doom games. If you really want it, you can look up his rules online and see what effort really went into each and every level. After the original Doom, you have Doom 2, the master levels for Doom 2, Final Doom. They all kind of feel like expanded level packs to the original Doom with a few extra demons added, and also the super shotgun. And everyone loves the super shotgun. As you progress into the Final Doom, the levels start to feel harder. However, the difficulty spike is almost artificial, as all they really do is add tons of enemies. Each map in the Final Doom levels is littered with hit scan enemies everywhere that can hit you instantly. They really pack them in everywhere. As you go through all these games, you find more and more troll traps and troll levels as they go on as well. Once you get to Final Doom, the levels do kind of wear down on you, but at this point you've had so many hours of fun you won't ever regret getting to the end. The final official Doom game that came out in this classic style is Doom 64, for I believe the Commodore 64? Yeah, that's it. Doom 64 is the first game in this series that kind of evolves it. While the previous games were bright colored and had an amazing upbeat metal soundtrack, Doom 64 uses dark colors and has a more chilling soundtrack. This was the first move the series took towards a more survival horror version of the game than the fast-paced game that it has been. Though thankfully Doom 64 does keep that trend of fast-paced motion and intricate level design. And while Doom 64 does have good level design, it does feel like the levels are smaller and more compact. I think due to the limitations of the Nintendo 64 as opposed to a PC. The version of Doom 64 that I played was actually on the PC. It was called Doom 64X. I felt Doom 64X was a great mod that made the game playable, though I did feel like the game itself was one of the easiest of the classic. Though this easier difficulty may also be because I was using modern PC controllers instead of the clunky Nintendo 64 controller. While this may be my least favorite of the classic games, I still believe it's a great entry to the series as a whole. The darker atmosphere is actually really fitting for the demonic imagery of the series. While I prefer the earlier game styles, I do think this is a great change of pace for the series. It also adds some other new features to the game, such as the Unmaker gun. This is a pretty overpowered gun that tears through the last boss though, and especially when you power it up. Speaking of powering it up, the game adds 3 main secrets to the game. Each of them power up your own maker gun. They also provide a key in each of these secrets that unlocks gateways at the end of the last battle. These keys aren't necessary to find, they just make the last fight even easier. This is a cool way to make finding secrets even more interesting, as they have greater impact on the end of the game. Overall, Doom 64 adds quite a bit to the series while maintaining its fast-paced action and fun level design. It's my lowest rated game of the classic style series, but it's still a game worth checking out. Playing these classic games for the first time in 2019 actually gave me the opportunity to look back at these games with no nostalgic vision. This allows me to play the game so many years later and see if they still hold up today. While the game did need some modern updates to its mechanics, that didn't change the fact that the bulk of the game remains the same. The original Doom series holds up more than I expected. It even surpasses some of the modern games I know today. If you never played any of the original classic games, I strongly recommend you give them a playthrough. They have quickly become some of the best games I've played, and Doom has become one of my favorite series of games. Alright, well that's my look at the early Doom games, and I hope you all join me back for part 2, where we look at Doom 3.